Hi there, I'm Smith Kingston, houseplant guru extraordinaire. Joining us today, we have two freaky, fresh-cut, funky new friends that we just brought home earlier today. Their names are Rhonda, Duchess of... I'm sorry, what is it that you were Duchess of again? And Scorcho. Also joining us, we have Yabonton Melon, the Acorn Twins, Sean and Dylan,
What's up, dog?
and the beautiful Tammy Fandango. I know, she's back. This video is all about picking pumpkins, but in order to illustrate a very pumpkin picking related point, real quick, I'm going to need to spend just a little bit of time talking about a couple of non-pumpkin matters. So bear with me and trust that as extraneous as these concerns seem to be, they are all relevant and very much connected to the pumpkin picking point. Now, the information that you're about to absorb is unlike anything you've ever heard, and it is going to shock you to your core, okay? It just is. So take a second to do whatever you have to prepare yourself mentally, be it meditation, perhaps a healthy snack, or, oh, I don't know, maybe subscribing to this channel. Yeah, you know what? Do that. Subscribe to this channel. Thanks, Yabonton Melon. Okay, if you've all prepared yourself mentally by subscribing to this channel and turning on channel notifications so you never miss a new video, then hopefully you're ready. Now, this is going to sound crazy, and that's because it is crazy, but everything that I'm about to tell you, as crazy as it may sound, is 100% true. Yabonton Melon is at least 318 days old. I brought him home from a Walmart supercenter on December 3rd of 2019. The Acorn Twins, Sean and Dylan, were grown in the summer of 2019, over a year ago. The pumpkin pictured here, though sadly no longer with us, lived to be over 2 years old. And this crop of beautiful and ornately displayed macramé adorned pumpkins were picked in the fall of 2019, and though they could have lived much longer, they bravely laid down their lives in late April of this year so that their posterity could thrive in a beautiful garden this past summer. Hey! Now, I realize that at least here in the United States, demand for pumpkin is at its highest between late September and mid-November. And then, after Thanksgiving, the demand for pumpkin is greatly diminished, but at least still exists until after Christmas. And after Christmas, there is pretty much no demand for any pumpkin anything, be it pumpkin pie, pumpkin rolls, pumpkin juice, pumpkin pasties. And I also realized that unless you're keeper of keys, grounds, and game at a school of witchcraft and wizardry, and the plot of a story that you're a part of depends on 3 young students hearing a very specific kind of a sound at exactly the right moment, there's probably no reason for you to be keeping a plethora of pumpkins outside of your cottage during springtime. But who knows? Maybe you keep goats, and you've realized that having a stash of pumpkins on hand is a great way to have access to a steady supply of healthy goat snacks over the course of several months. Or maybe you have very strange taste in houseplants and want to keep your pumpkins alive for years after they're needed because of one of several compulsions that stem from some clinically diagnosable mental illness. What? Look, whatever your motivation, if you want to keep pumpkins, melons, squash, or probably lots of other stuff alive for way longer than necessary, then the method contained in this video is the method for you. The tools necessary for this method are a clean, sharp cutting tool, preferably pruning shears, a bucket, some water, towels, and, as with any other decent method, a secret ingredient. In this case, bleach. Now that we're getting ready to employ the use of dangerous chemicals, it's time to suit up. When dealing with any corrosive substance, it's a good idea to wear eye protection and gloves to protect your fingers and eyeballs from stray droplets of caustic chemicals. Overalls are a great way to protect other body parts from potential hazards. And last but not least, boots. Because when you're dealing with dangers of any kind, you want your feet to be an asset and not a liability. Now, if your pumpkins are already picked, or if your other types of unconventional houseplants were acquired from a grocery store, then you may not have the following luxury. But ideally, the age-defying process begins in the garden. I prefer to pick my pumpkins just a little bit earlier when the stems are still green and attached to a living vine. That way the stems stay green as they dry, and this usually means picking the pumpkins just a little bit before they finish turning all the way orange. The ideal tool for this part of the job is a clean, sharp pair of pruning shears, although other clean, sharp tools will suffice. Again, I want to emphasize the importance of a clean cutting tool because one of the easiest ways for rot-inducing bacteria or fungus to enter the pumpkin gourd or melon is through the stem. This is especially likely while the stem is green because at this point, the stem is full of moisture that can easily conduct microscopic parasites of any kind into the fleshy interior of your firm, waxy friend. For this reason, you should also pick your unorthodox new friend of a houseplant in such a way that the stem is as long as possible by cutting your atypical houseplant loose from the vine, either just before the spot where the stem connects to the vine, or actually cutting out a clumpy section of vine and leaving it attached. It could be argued that the latter of these methods extends the distance the bacteria and fungal spores need to travel in order to infiltrate the interior of the fruit, thereby increasing your chances of successfully harvesting a long-lasting outlandish companion. Or it could be argued that the greater number of cuts increases the surface area of the fresh-cut vine flesh and the chances for a fungal or bacterial infection. Look, I'm not a scientist, nor have I compiled or analyzed any data that supports either of these two theories. So I don't freaking know. Just do whatever you think looks cool. From here, spray all the dirt, grass, leaves, and/or bugs off your freaky fresh cut funky new friend with cold water. Hot water might remove the dirt just a little bit quicker, but it could also cook your friend, which is fine because let's be real, they're food. But that's not our end goal here, at least in this video. For demonstration purposes, I filmed the next part of the video indoors, you know, for lighting and graffiti purposes. But because this process for extending the life of your pumpkin, squash, or melon involves bleach, I highly recommend getting set up to do this next part of the process outdoors, or at least in a well-ventilated area, such as an open garage, in order to protect your delicate lung tissue from the dangerous bleach fumes. Once you've selected a well-ventilated area and set up a table or surface you don't mind getting a little bit bleachy, ready the bucket. Fill it a couple inches from the top, again with cold water, and then add bleach. You want enough bleach to kill any fungal spores or bacteria, but not so much that it actually corrodes the waxy membrane of your pumpkin, squash, or melon, opening it up to a greater risk for a fungal breach down the road. Most of the time, I add half a cup of bleach into a 5-gallon bucket, filled a couple of inches from the top. Today though, because I'm filming a video, I picked this much smaller but cooler looking bucket, so I'm just gonna eyeball it. Now, scrub down every inch of your newly acquired friend with a towel from your bleach bucket, paying special attention to the stem and most importantly the cut edge or edges of the stem. In order to ensure that every inch of your friend gets bleached down, it's a good idea to employ a systematic approach, especially if you're working with a large number of pumpkins. I always start with the stem, then work my way around the pumpkin from top to bottom and finish with the blossom. Wring your towel out well enough so that you're not slopping caustic bleach water all over your table and down the front of your overalls, but not so well that you can't squeeze a little bit of bleach water into any hard to reach crevices or under a stubborn and unfortunately positioned stem. Then, once all the bleach water has dried, all that's left is for you to find a spot in your home for your bizarre new friend of a houseplant. A crazy cool characteristic of this type of houseplant is that unlike most of the other plants that I've talked about on this channel, these can survive almost anywhere in your house. There's no need to keep them near a sunny window or on a well-lit countertop. And best of all, they never need to be watered. Drier and more well-ventilated areas are ideal since mold spores are the enemy most likely to take them down at this point. My personal favorite way to keep these offbeat beauties is to suspend them with macramé. Although the longest everlasting of these quirky companions that I've had was kept on carpeted ground in a corner next to a coat rack for most of its more than 2-year lifespan. Also, keep in mind that though substantially extended, the lifespan of these curiously cultivated cuties is still finite. Check them regularly for seeping or soft spots, especially if you decide to keep them on top of a piece of furniture that is also a precious family heirloom, such as your grandmother's antique piano. Don't worry about it.